Hey everybody, welcome to Catching Up with Ketchum. It's going to be the weekly show where we watch the Pokemon anime, watch about 3 episodes, and then we go over a recap of it. If you end up liking it, go ahead and hit that like button, and if you want to keep up with it, maybe subscribe to the channel, and then comment down below what you think of the episodes as we go. So, I'm Rory, this is AJ.
How's it going?
We will be recapping the episodes for you. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. The first episode is called Enter Pikachu. So we're gonna have a lot of the titular mascot there, Pikachu. The episode starts out with it's a young Ash Ketchum, younger than he looks in the original anime, and he wants to go to a camp run by Professor Oak, and he's super excited. He wants to see all these Pokemon, and then his mom asks him if he will be able to wake himself up, which I thought was a funny reference because in the very first episode of the anime, he wakes up late, which is why he gets Pikachu. Because by the time he got there, all the starters were gone.
Yeah.
And then there was another thing I really appreciated. So there's a Pichu in this episode, but I really appreciated how in the episode all of the Pokemon were Kanto Pokemon except Pikachu. They were all the original 151.
Now,
So
see, that's something that I never knew. That's something that you would have known. So, which,
there's
by
some
the
more.
way, before we get into any of this was all brought up because I really have like no knowledge outside of like collecting cards. So this was like kind of a gateway into getting me to understand it a lot more.
You've
So,
never even seen the original Indigo League, right?
yeah, you're right.
This is your first introduction to Ash Ketchum. You're not even catching. I'm catching up with Ketchum.
Yeah.
You're just meeting him.
So, and another thing that you're talking about is like it started off with a Pichu, right? And that was like Pichu is always kind of just like, okay, yeah, like it's Pichu. But like that episode and like continuing on, I was like, I love I love Pichu. Like it's so adorable. Like I
Pichu's super cute.
Yeah, I was like because you have like Pikachu and everything like that, and it's like it's Pikachu. But I don't know what it is about Pichu. It's just adorable.
It's just a tinier Pikachu. It's even cuter.
Well, it's like
Um,
it's that and like the ears and everything like that. I don't know.
mhm. Yeah. I thought it was cool because granted, I've missed a lot of the Pokemon anime, but as far as I had watched, we had never seen Pikachu as a Pichu. It was always because when the show first came out, Pichu didn't exist.
Right.
Pichu didn't come around until Johto. So I thought it was cool. The first episode is basically a prequel to the whole show. It's Ash before he starts his journey. It's Pikachu before it becomes Pichu. Before it becomes a Pikachu. So yeah, that sets the stage there. We see this Pichu out in the wild. It's having a rough time. It gets attacked by an Ekans, and then it gets smogged by some coughing,
Yeah.
which I thought was another. I figured, can't say for sure, that it was a reference to the original Team Rocket because Jesse and James had an Arbok and a Weezing in the original
Oh.
series. So, and an Ekans and a coughing to start with. So I thought it was funny that Pikachu was getting attacked by an Ekans and a coughing before it even got to that point.
Yeah. I guess
Um,
another thing to bring up with that is you brought up that like Ash woke up late and that's why he got Pikachu. Are you talking about like that's how he got Pikachu in this anime?
yeah, so keep in
Okay.
mind this is all still the same anime that
Okay.
started in the 90s, and in the original episode of Pokemon, he wakes up late and gets to Professor Oak's lab late, and the Squirtle, Charmander, and Bulbasaur have already been taken, and Pikachu's the last Pokemon at the lab that Ash
Okay.
can get.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess one thing to get well, it happens in the second episode, so I don't want to bring it up, but we can bring that up later.
We'll touch on
Yeah.
more. There's
But
more references in the second episode too.
I guess what I was trying to also lead into was I'm gonna probably butcher the name, but it's like Kangas Kong or Kong.
Kangaskhan,
Yeah, there we go. And I never,
Kangaskong.
yeah, yeah. I was like, it's either that or Khan,
It's
right?
Khan. It's
Yeah.
Kangaskhan.
But I like always loved that Pokemon growing up, but like I never knew how like loving that Pokemon was. And
Mm-hmm.
like I
That's
learned that in this episode, and that was like one of the notes that I had written down was like how nurturing that Pokemon is. Like it just doesn't care. Like it's gonna take care of something that's struggling.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, so that was one thing that I was like, I love this Pokemon like even more.
Yeah. So we'll definitely hit the Kangaskhan here in a minute. That's where Pichu ends up next. But before we hit that, we hit the theme song, which I thought was fine. I didn't think it was great. I wasn't super into it. I was like, eh.
I was the opposite. I was like, I'm not skipping this. When it comes on,
You,
like,
you liked it?
yeah, I was like, this song slaps.
You were like, I'm bopping.
Yeah, I was like, I'm
Um,
never skipping this.
I think I liked it in the beginning, or I think I liked the beginning of the song when it's leading in, but then towards the middle it loses me. Um, I don't know. I thought it was fine, and I didn't love it. But then we hit a part that I think AJ loved very much, and I hope he caught this. That when it showed the episode title, Pikachu definitely put a hat on.
Yeah,
Pikachu was wearing Ash's hat, and we
yeah.
know how much AJ loves Pikachu's wearing hats.
I think don't get me wrong. I think Pikachu wearing a hat is very adorable, but it is they capitalize on that so much with it's like, well, here's a different hat. Here's a different hat.
Listen, hater, Pikachu is adorable in hats,
It
okay?
Pikachu is adorable in hats. I can agree with you on
Well, anyways, as AJ said earlier, then Pichu runs into a group of Kangaskhan and starts to basically be raised by one of the Kangaskhan as like its child. It sits in a little pouch with the other Kangaskhan. There's also a really cute scene where it feeds Pikachu. Pichu, I keep messing that up. It feeds Pichu an orange berry, and Pichu makes this adorable face when the orange berry's way too big for it, and
that.
it like makes a face. It's funny. You should see it. Then we cut to Professor Oak's group. He's got a group of students. This is where Ash wanted to be when it started out. We're introduced to two characters here that we'll come to know as Go and Chloe, I think's her name.
I have it written down. Let me check real
Yeah,
quick.
Go has a sweet Gengar shirt that I love a lot. 1 second. Sorry, everybody. Okay, I'm back. I believe it is Chloe.
Yeah, it's Chloe.
So Chloe's really cool. I would love to see more of her. Is a big thing that I've got from these episodes. Is she seems like a really cool character that they're not using at all, which I don't like. But Go has a cool Gengar shirt. And Ash ends up just like his mom said. He ends up sleeping in too late, and he misses the excursion. So he's not in this group of kids with uh, Go and Chloe. Um, but Go is kind of a little know-it-all. He knows everything about Pokemon, but pardon my French, he's also kind of a little shit.
I you are Go when it comes to Pokemon.
Yeah, AJ and my girlfriend Jocelyn pointed out because she also decided to watch along with us that I am Go. He's wearing a little Gengar shirt. He knows everything about Pokemon.
And
So
he's a little shit.
yeah, so yeah, he's cool though. I don't mind Go. He's
I the
definitely
thing is
cocky, but
like they do him very well. Like he's not unlikable. Like
yeah,
he's like everybody like has that friend about one thing, and like it's fine. Like he at least from what I've watched and like the 3 episodes that we watched, there hasn't been a point where I'm like I hate this character.
same. And I was
So
kind of scared about that going into it. Um, because I had seen a few things from Journeys, just a few clips, and I was like, I don't know that I'm gonna like this Go guy, but so far I like Go. He is kind of a little jerk, but he also seems like a nice kid.
Yeah.
So, um, and this is where we hit another cool little reference that this one I really loved. There's a scene where there's a Farfetch'd in the woods with them,
Yeah.
and Professor Oak and Go are like, "That's Farfetch'd," and then they ask if Farfetch'd evolves into anything, and he says no, like Farfetch'd doesn't evolve at all. But we know Farfetch'd evolves into Sirfetch'd, but they didn't know that back in those days. They thought there were only 150 Pokemon.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really cool touch that like they don't know anything about Galar Pokemon. They don't know that Farfetch'd evolves. So I thought it was cool that they weren't rewriting the history and being like, yeah, it evolves into Sirfetch'd. It's like, no, we haven't discovered that yet. So I thought that was a cool touch.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, that's neat. Then Go kind of breaks off from the group a little bit, and Chloe too, and they end up finding a Nidoking that is fighting a Pokemon that we all know, and it's an adorable Mew. It's fighting this Kangaskhan, and I thought this fight was super cool.
Yeah.
Every move that Nidoking uses against it, Mew turns back on it. It's not exactly how it works in the game. Mew's whole thing is that it can learn any move, but this Mew like learns them on the fly. Like the Kangaskhan like throws an attack at it, and Mew just throws it right back, and then it laughs about it while it's wrecking this giant Nidoking. So every time it hits it with something,
because you're naming two different Pokemon right now that it's fighting. Who was it fighting?
Nidoking.
Because you keep saying Kangaskhan.
Oh, I said Kangaskhan?
Yeah, you said it like twice.
Oh, oops. Sorry,
yeah, it's
everybody.
a Nidoking.
It's fighting a Nidoking.
Yeah.
Kangaskhan's with Pichu.
Yeah.
Ignore that. It's fighting Nidoking, and it's throwing all of its moves back at it and laughing about it, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Mew's cool.
My thing is like me growing up, and this was a note that I put down, was like Mew and like Mewtwo was like always awesome to me. Like still to this day, it's like still super cool. Just because like as more Pokemon came out, like the legendary and like rareness of that Pokemon was like huge.
Mm-hmm.
And like I never really saw that like in any of the movies or like the anime or anything like that. So like seeing Mew come to life in the anime was super cool because like I lost my mind when I saw Mewtwo come to life in Detective Pikachu, but like seeing Mew and just like mischievous is like the best way to describe it. And
no,
like,
I think that's the perfect way.
Yeah, and I just like I love that. Like I love how cool Mew is. Like it's still like super cool. It's such a cool Pokemon.
AJ, I'm gonna ask you a serious question right now that I just realized. Have you never seen Pokemon the first movie?
I haven't.
We're gonna have to do a special episode on that eventually because Mew's great in that too. Same thing, mischievous, just kind of like laughs. Mew doesn't fight a ton in that movie. I thought that's what I really liked about this was that you really got to see Mew just unleashed.
Yeah.
Whereas in the movie, Mew doesn't fight a whole bunch. It fights Mewtwo a little bit, but mostly they're just kind of throwing orbs at each other. It's not great, but this was super cool. Then after that fight, we hit a classic segment. AJ, you don't know who's that Pokemon?
I know that from when I was younger. Yeah.
Here. And I will say, so the first episode, I went, wow, who's that Pokemon? Is pretty hard because I know that's Pichu, but that would be hard if I didn't know. Then as I went, every episode, the who's that Pokemon is the main Pokemon of the episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, never mind, this is lame. And I was like, if you had shown me that without Pichu being in the episode, I may have struggled. I think I would have got it, but anyways, moving on from who's that Pokemon, then we cut back to Go chasing Mew, and Mew is just like turning into all these different Pokemon as it's running away. Turns into like a Lapras, and Yeah, it's just a super cool scene as it transforms into all these Pokemon while it's running. Another thing Mew doesn't necessarily, it's not known for, but because it can learn every move, every TM, or every move just about, it can know transform. So that makes sense of why it can do that. Um, but yeah, I thought that was a really cool scene. And then it gets to this weird scene where all these Chanseys show up and start giving their eggs to the Pokemon to eat. I never really thought about like Chansey just like popping out eggs whenever it wants. It does know the move soft boiled, but I was like, this is weird. I never thought of Chansey just being like, hey, you hungry? Here's an egg. I just thought that was a weird scene. I wrote it down because it stuck out to me. um, then the baby Kangaskhan that is with Pichu ends up running away by itself to chase Mew also. And then it almost dies, which I was like, it like follows Mew up all the way onto this cliff, and then the cliff gives out, and Mew saves it from like a watery death at the last second. Um, yeah, I was like, whoa, that almost got dark real fast.
Yeah.
And then Go happens to watch this as it happens, and he decides on that moment that basically his dream is to catch Mew.
Mm-hmm.
So Ash wants to be a Pokemon master. Go wants to catch Mew. Then we hit the emotional core of the episode, which is Kangaskhan is like walking and it's carrying Pichu and the baby Kangaskhan, and it's like clearly struggling. It's like sweating and breathing heavy, like it just can't handle raising both of these Pokemon at the same time. And Pichu tries to walk on its own, but Kangaskhan, like its motherly instincts, won't let it. So it like picks Pichu back up and puts it back in, and just keeps struggling. And then finally, they go in this cave to go to sleep. And Pichu and the little baby Kangaskhan are sleeping, and then Pichu sneaks out to go to leave, and it turns around, and it's a really sad scene.
Yeah.
It's like crying, and like it doesn't. That's like its family.
Yeah,
So
and it like has flashbacks to like all the memories it has with them.
it was a really sad scene. It was effective for me. I was pretty sad about it. And then Pichu kind of decides like, no, this is what's best. I got to do this. But then while it's standing there, like thinking about those good times, it evolves into Pikachu. This might be new for you, AJ, but Pichu evolves by happiness in the games. So thinking about all those good times ended up evolving it into a Pikachu.
I never got it.
Yeah, so Pikachu, I can say it now. Pikachu like looks at its reflection in a puddle and realizes that it evolved, and it like gets really excited, and then it runs off. I'm kind of sad, like thinking about the Kangaskhan like waking up and Pichu not being there.
Yeah.
Like that really makes me sad, and I hope that at some point, maybe at the end of this of Pokemon Journeys, that'll be like the last scene is like Pikachu going back to visit the Kangaskhan, because I don't know, it just kind of left me a little like, that's great that you evolved, Pikachu, but like that Kangaskhan's gonna worry about you forever.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a lot of closure there. I really liked the episode, but that part kind of bummed me out a little bit. Then we fast forward. Now Ash is 10 years old, and it's his birthday, and he wakes up, and it's the first episode of Pokemon all over again. He picks up his alarm clock, slams it against the wall. He's late, and he's late to Professor Oak's lab, and he gets Pikachu, and the story goes from there. So we come full circle.
This is the question that I have is, and I don't know if you wondered this or if you know or not, but it is, sure. Is that Pikachu the Pichu from the beginning?
Yeah.
That's who that is?
Yeah, that's the Pichu who evolved after leaving the Kangaskhan cave.
Right. So Ash's Pikachu was that Pichu.
Yeah, this was a
Okay.
prequel basically. This was Pikachu's prequel story of
Okay,
what
cool.
where Pikachu was before Ash. So, yeah. I really liked that episode.
It was really
Um,
good.
yeah, it drew me in. It was a prequel, but it was done right. Um, and I really liked the references along the way. Like I said, the Farfetch thing was the one that stuck out to me. I was like, that's a nice touch of like, they don't know that Farfetched evolves yet.
Yeah.
And I thought it was also kind of that in conjunction with only seeing Pokemon from the original, other than Pichu, uh, just went really well together. So,
Mhm.
on to episode 2, which is called Legend. Go, friends. Go. So, we're gonna see a legend, and we're gonna make some friends. Um, so the first note I have for this episode is, oh my god, Pikachu sleeps with a little substitute plush, and I want it now. Its plush is the little substitute doll. So when a Pokemon uses the move substitute in the games, that's what it leaves behind, is that little plush that Pikachu was cuddling.
I don't even remember that.
So yeah, in the games, there's a move called substitute where you make a substitute so that your Pokemon doesn't take the next hit. And yeah, it leaves a little doll in its place, and that was what Pikachu was with.
That's adorable.
Yeah. And then Ash does exactly what he did in the first episode of the Pokemon anime. His alarm clock is a Pokeball. It goes off, and he picks it up, and he throws it instinctively, and it breaks against the wall. Maybe Ash should stop getting alarm clocks shaped like Pokeballs, and he would stop being late to things. So that was my takeaway from the first couple minutes.
um
Then, oh
yeah.
no, go.
I no, you got to get deeper into it for me. Or
Okay.
no, because in the very beginning, like with Ash waking up and um like the Pikachu trying to wake him up, and then like it zaps him, and like his mom's trying to wake him up and everything like that. Um like seeing the interaction, like the biggest thing that I took away from that, and then of course like later on in the episode, like I finally am like starting to understand like why people love Pikachu so much.
Yeah.
Because growing up I was always just like it, like I don't understand it.
Honestly, I was the same way. I didn't
um
really care about Pikachu when I was a kid.
yeah, and then like as I'm watching this, and then like some older clips like you see here and there, but like I'm like, okay, like I 100% understand like why people love Pikachu so much. So
No,
yeah.
I 100% agree with you. I was like, when I was a kid, I was like, if I want a cool Pokemon, I'll get like Charizard or Mewtwo or something. And if I want a cute Pokemon, I'll get Charmander or Vulpix or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, I thought the Pikachu stuff was good. And yeah, there's some more cuteness coming in this episode, so don't worry, it's coming. Um, then Ash goes to Professor Oak's house after he finally wakes up. He goes to Professor Oak's house, and he's invited to a lab that's opening in Vermilion City. Um, and Ash's mom and Mimey are coming along. It's referred to as Mr. Mime a couple times, but that Mr. Mime's name was always Mimey. So I don't know if they're just saying Mr. Mime here for what, or if they changed its name. But Ash's Mr. Mime has always been called Mimey. So we'll see if that comes back. Um, then I have another note here that says, seeing a car in Pokemon is weird AF. Because in all the seasons of Pokemon I watched, I can't think of a scene of people driving in a car. Like
Yeah.
Pokemon, I always think of people walking. Like you go walking on your Pokemon adventure. So, um, then they finally get to Vermilion City, and Ash has the exact same face and reaction that I and most people had when he saw Yamper for the first time. Because Yamper's the little electric corgi,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh my god, it's so cute!" He
Yeah.
gets like little star eyes and everything, and that's my exact reaction. I mean, Yamper's adorable.
Hmm.
It's one of the cutest Pokemon ever.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a shiny
Yamper,
Yamper,
yes,
and I
yes,
want
there.
it so bad. I want that card so bad.
Same. Now the bad thing is Yamper does not like Ash as much as Ash likes Yamper, and it ends up electrifying him, of
Yeah.
course. Then there's a funny scene where Chloe shows up to the lab because she has some connection with the lab. We don't know yet. She shows up and she's like walking up the stairs and she's like, "Hey, Yamper," and then she sees like Ash's charred body in the middle of the stairs, and she's like, and then just like walks
Yeah.
around it completely and ignores him.
That's one thing that I like about this is because like you already know this, but people listening might not know, but I love anime. Um and I always thought of like the Pokemon anime as it being in its own lane. Like it followed its own rules. And like it's
Mm-hmm.
very like cool to see them following rules of just like comedy anime as well. Because like him getting electrocuted by the dog and then her just being like, yikes. And then just like walking by is like hilarious. And
Mm-hmm.
then one thing that I don't know if you think this, but I think this and I want this, but I'm hoping that that's a revolving thing that happens with Ash is like if it's like an electric Pokemon, he's always gonna get like fried. Basically.
Oh,
Like I want
yeah.
that to be like a funny thing that like continues on in the anime.
So he's definitely always got shocked by Pikachu. That's in the first. So that scene in the first episode at the very end where he picks Pikachu up, where he's like, "It's so cute," and he picks up and it shocks him.
Yeah.
That's like a shot for shot remake of a scene from the first episode.
Okay.
That's like the exact scene. But when it comes to other Pokemon shocking him, that's a good. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of that being like a running gag before. So if that's like a running gag now, we'll have to keep looking out for that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that's one thing that I know a lot about Pokemon. I don't watch a lot of anime at all. So AJ's the anime guy, not me. Um, so that'll be fun to kind of get your input on the more anime stuff. Um, so cool. So Ash shows up to the lab in Vermilion, and we're introduced to Professor Cerise. He goes on this long soliloquy about that he's just digging into the mysteries of Pokemon. At the end of his thing, I didn't have any more of an idea of what he actually is doing, other than wanting to know more about Pokemon, which I would assume all professors do. But he seems like a cool enough guy. It's just I was like, okay, what are you doing?
Looking over.
Somebody over there?
No, thankfully.
There's no.
No, my it's just
Um,
always windy at my house. Off subject, but yes, it's always windy at my house and it's old and it always like creaks and cracks. So yeah,
mm,
I'm always just
okay.
like,
So then we cut back to Go, who is also now older, and he is hunting for a rare Pokemon.
mm-hmm.
It's intercut with basically him and Cerise both saying, "Oh my God, these atmospheric conditions are perfect, and a legendary Pokemon's about to show up."
Yeah,
And then Ash hears Cerise talking about it and is like, "Oh my God, there's a legendary Pokemon showing up. I'm running down there." And I thought this was great, just like in the games. He runs straight into a sleeping Snorlax
yep.
that he can't get by. And I was like, that's awesome. Then
I
just
was
a
like,
Snorlax blocking the road.
yeah, I was watching and I was like, this must be like windy as hell. But no, I was watching and I was like, oh, this is like actually a thing. It wasn't just like a video game thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And I
Yeah.
was like, this is so great. Because like, as I continued to watch, I was like, I love seeing Pokemon come to life. Like, it's just like
Mm-hmm.
the coolest thing ever. Like, that's why, like, when you asked me if I had seen like the original Pokemon movie, it's like I never had those like chances to watch that stuff. So like
Mm-hmm.
like Detective Pikachu was like mind blowing to me.
I
And
mean,
then like
it was mind blowing to me too.
yeah. And that was like a whole other level of them coming to life, but like seeing it like this and me loving anime like I do is like perfect. It's like I I just like I could watch this all day. basically.
Yeah. So the other cool thing about that is that they're in Vermilion City, and right next to Vermilion City is where the Snorlax was in the original games in Red and Blue. So
Okay,
it
cool.
was a nice touch having Snorlax there. Um, so Ash runs, he runs into Snorlax, but while Go is looking, a giant tornado shows up above this cruise ship. And out of the tornado appears Lugia. And it's Lugia, who AJ didn't know lives in the ocean. Which actually makes sense because most of what I like think about Lugia is from the second Pokemon movie, Pokemon the movie 2000, and a lot of that is Lugia underwater. So, um,
Wait, it's like I got introduced to Lugia and he's in the sky. So
yeah, yeah. I peek behind the curtain. I took a picture of a Lugia card for the Instagram today, and AJ was like, "Go take a picture of it against the clouds outside," and I was like, but Lugia lives in the ocean. And he's like, but it can fly. And I'm like, it can fly, but it lives in the ocean. And he was like, how am I supposed to know that? I hadn't watched the episodes yet, so I didn't know that he had watched Lugia flying in this
yeah,
episode. Um, so yeah, it was funny. So then three trainers try to fight Lugia and they get wiped out in like one hit. And then a bunch more jump in and they call it a raid battle. Like
yeah.
it's a video. They're like, it's a raid
So
battle.
that's my question for you is, and this is a note that I had down, is how, when was raid battles a thing in Pokemon?
It just in Sword and Shield.
Okay.
That's where they introduced like the Dynamax Pokemon and the Dynamax raids and everything.
Okay.
So yeah, that was. I assume them calling it a raid battle was their like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's a raid battle because like one of the characters literally announces it as a raid battle, which I thought was funny. I was just like, boy, that's on the nose. It's a raid battle,
Yeah.
and then Lugia wrecks them.
Yeah.
Then Ash tries, and Pikachu seems to hurt it with its Thunder Shock more than the other Pokemon.
It definitely pisses it off.
Yes. So then Go and Ash, Go is like chasing after it while it's like flying away, and then Ash is chasing after it too, and both of them jump on Lugia like morons.
Yeah.
And they're like hanging on to it. But then out of nowhere, Lugia is like super chill about it and is like, yeah, okay, we can go
Yeah.
for a ride. Like Lugia's like demeanor confused me because I was like, Lugia was super mad, and then it was just like, yeah, let's go for a cool ride. Let's go for a swim.
Yeah. So like here's my thing, and this is when I was like, Go is literally you. And this was when, I don't know if you remember this or not, but like Chloe's like, where are you? Like, I brought your homework home and everything like that. And he's like, I'm doing what I need to do. And I was just like, that is Rory to a T. Like, he's just going to do what he wants to do. I don't care. Like, I didn't ask you to bring home my homework.
Yeah, that's true. Another peek behind the curtain right before this. AJ was like, are you ready to record? And I was like, oh, I'm on my way to Target to pick something up. I'll be back in a little bit. So it was like perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, they end up going on like a little road trip with Lugia, and this weird like road trip rock song plays during it. It's just like, yeah, we're on a road trip, yeah. Not the real lyrics, but
Yeah.
it just was like, it like looked like they should. It was like a song that would be like some dudes, like some like 50-year-old dads on motorcycles in a movie on a road trip. Then Ash and Go like decide that they're friends while they're on this trip after they're swimming in the ocean, and they both start drowning because they're also dummies that try to breathe underwater.
Well, it was like, what was that? It was like something happened and like it surprised him.
So Lugia, like, yeah, I don't remember. I think, oh, there were like horsies that
Yeah.
showed up around Ash, and they were like messing with him, and he like went to laugh, and they like breathes in the water, and he's like starts drowning.
Yeah.
And Go was already drowning by that point, so Lugia ends up going out of the water and finally kicks him off, and they land on a Vileplume who seems annoyed for a second, but then just goes back to sleep.
Which,
Um,
let's also not forget that it's a Gloom, Vileplume, and an Oddish.
yep,
They're
they're
all
just
right
hanging out in
there.
the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just chilling
Which
in a
was like the
field.
coolest thing ever.
Yeah, and then they're like, Ash and Go are like, okay, well, let's go back to the lab. And then they're like, oh, wait, we have no idea where Lugia just dropped us off at.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have no idea where I am. So then it like quick cuts to them. They made it back to the lab, but they're like super tired. And then Chloe comes out and she's like, hey, Go, here's the homework that you were supposed to do. And he's like, it's more that like anime humor where he like makes a weird face. He's like, what does he say? He's like, not that I even wanted to do it anyways.
Yeah.
But then we find out that Go knows Professor Cerise, who, oh yeah, Professor Cerise is Chloe's dad. We
Yep.
also find out. I thought it looked like Go was doing this for Professor Cerise, but then I guess he just showed Professor Cerise the footage
Yeah.
because then he offers them to be his lab assistants. I kind of thought it was set up as Go was already one, but I guess at that point he offers Ash and Go to be research assistants, and they're gonna live at the lab. So
Yeah. Which was really cool.
yeah, they like get like bunk beds, and then that's like the start kind of like their rivalry. They're like
Yeah.
fighting over like the top bunk.
Yeah.
And then Ash leaves Mimey, or Ash's mom leaves Mimey with Ash. So I'm kind of excited to see if Mimey fights in any of this because Mimey's also always just hung out with Ash's mom. Always. I want to see Mimey fight. So
So here's my
you
thing that I want to
mhm.
ask is, um, like, I don't know if you got this vibe or not, but like, Professor Oak is like totally doing something with his mom.
That's a popular fan theory. Is that not only there's not only the theory that they're doing stuff, but that Professor Oak is actually Ash's dad
Okay.
because we don't Ash's dad is never seen in the anime ever.
Yeah, because I was
So
like, they're definitely doing something.
yeah, there's theories. Yeah, so but Mimey stays behind,
Yeah.
which Mimey's been in the show for a long time, back when I used to watch it. But usually you just see him like sweeping
Yeah,
and
even
like
in the
cleaning.
games too.
Yeah, but there's also this super weird scene where they go back to the house and like they put Pokemon food on the ground for like Pikachu and them to eat, but then like Mimey goes and eats the Pokemon food off the ground and it just looks weird because Mimey's like a humanoid and it's like getting down on the ground to eat the Pokemon food with the other. It just, this is why I hate Mr. Mime. He is just, I don't hate Mr. Mime as much as I used to. I kind of like him for how weird he is now, but Mr. Mime makes no sense to me. Mr. Mime is a human. Like, I
Yeah.
don't understand what Mr. Mime is. Anyways, I'm off on too much of a Mr. Mime tangent. Go is then offered a starter Pokemon. Professor Cerise offers him Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Charmander, and Go ends up declining him and says that Mew is going to be his partner
Which is
Pokemon.
something you would do.
He was like, nah, fam, I don't want any of these. I want Mew
Yep.
and nothing else.
Yep. I was like, once again, Rory.
So we're in an interesting situation here where one of the main characters has no Pokemon as of right now. Like Go has no Pokemon because he declined that. So my guess is if he starts catching Pokemon, it's going to be a reference to Pokemon Go, which Go is obviously named after, because you don't weaken the Pokemon in those games. You just throw Pokeballs to catch them. So if he doesn't have a Pokemon to weaken them, maybe that's their like reference to Pokemon Go. He's just going to catch Pokemon by throwing the Pokeballs. That's my guess. Um, anyways, now we are on to episode 3, Ivysaur's Mysterious Tower. Um, which I think is maybe my favorite episode.
It was
It's
really
hard for
good.
me to pick. I think it was my favorite episode
It
though.
was it was
Honestly,
mine.
even after we'll go over reviews at the end, but I think episode 3 was my favorite. So it starts out, and Ash and Go, we find out they have a lot in common because now not only is Ash sleeping in, but Go is also sleeping in. And then Mimey comes in, and I thought this was pretty funny. Mimey comes in and like wakes them up with a mime vacuum that like you can hear the vacuuming sounds while it's vacuuming, but you can't see anything because he's a mime. But it works because he picks it up and he like
Yep.
sucks the blankets off of them with
Yep.
his mime vacuum. I don't know. It worked for me.
It
It
was
was a
it was
stupid.
hilarious. I loved it.
Yeah, it was a stupid scene for me, but it definitely it was a stupid scene, but it worked. And this is where I have my first note of, wow, Chloe seems really cool, but she's really not in this enough. Can I
Hmm.
get more Chloe? Because there's like the it starts out Ash and Go are like eating breakfast and Professor Cerise is there, and then Chloe comes in and she's like, "Hey, Amber, like here's your food," and then she says she's off to go to school, which I was like, why does Chloe have to go to school, but
Yeah.
Ash and Go don't have to go to school? I'm like, what? This school thing is confusing me. I don't know if this is maybe something that's addressed. I know that a lot of school stuff happens in um, the last Pokemon season where they're in the Alola region, the Sun and Moon one. Um, but I don't get it. I'm confused. Why do some kids have to go to school and some kids don't? I guess we'll find that out later.
Hmm.
But that was what I had there. We're then introduced to Cerise's assistants, Ren and Krissa. And I wrote, I have already forgotten their names. So I was actually really glad that I was writing these down because I had to rewind and put on the subtitles because I could not for the life of me
Krissa.
understand what the character Ren was saying. I couldn't hear. I was
Uh,
like, did he say his name was Brandon? Did he say his name? Like, I couldn't hear it. And then, like, I finally put the subtitles on. I was like, okay, I guess his name is Ren. And then they're never heard from again the rest of the
yeah,
episode.
because here's my thing is like Krissa is Bay already. Like that's all I have to say. I was like,
Oh, you really like that scene where she goes, I'm
yep.
Krissa.
I was like,
The end.
yep. I was like, I hope we see more of her.
Yeah, they were pretty, no offense to your Bay, but they were both pretty forgettable in the episode for me. I had forgotten about them until I looked at these notes. Completely
I
forgot.
don't know. It was just like one of those things where it was like, because I feel the same way about Chloe. Like, I want there to be more. And like, I'm
Mhm.
hoping that we see more from those two.
I think we will. I think we're going to see more of all these characters. I think it's just a lot of Ash and Go right now. And
Mm.
then we'll see. There's some more characters introduced later that I feel like they're like using these in episodes. I feel like we'll get a Chloe episode soon, a Ren episode, and a Chris episode. Maybe they'll be more memorable to me then. But that wind's really howling over there, huh?
Yeah.
You need to go check on it. So paranoid. Um, so then we find out that Ren was late to work because of a traffic jam that was caused by a group of Ivysaur. And Ash and Go decide to investigate. Um, then they are given smartphones that are possessed by Rotom, your favorite Pokemon, that also function as Pokedexes. And again, I have another note here, like the car one, that just says, hearing someone say smartphone in the Pokemon anime is weird to me.
It
The
is.
last time
Yeah.
I saw the Pokemon anime was probably like 2002. So, like, it's weird to me to hear somebody be like, do you have a smartphone?
Well, it was that, and like even in the games, it was like weird for me the first time because I was
Yeah.
like, I never played anything on like the advance or anything like that. So like,
Mm,
I only had the games that were on the Game Boy and Game Boy Color. So,
mm-hmm.
and that was like really about it.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was just weird.
Yeah.
Not bad, just weird. And then the theme song started again, and I had this thought, and I have this is in all capitals right here, because I saw it in the theme song. I wrote, "Where the heck is Team Rocket. And then the theme song ended, and literally it cut straight to Giovanni talking to Jesse, James, and Meowth.
Yep.
It was pretty good timing. I was like, I saw them in the intro, and I was like, oh yeah, where is Team Rocket?
Yeah. So I have one thing to say about that, and that
Mm-hmm.
was it was really cool seeing Giovanni.
Mm-hmm.
Like I thought they did a really good job with him. And then I also put seeing Rotom come to life was as dumb as I thought it would be.
Yeah, in case y'all don't know, AJ does not like Rotom.
um and yeah, I was just like, this is the dumbest thing. And
And he
then
claims he's a ghost type fan.
that's a stupid kind of ghost type Pokemon. Sorry. But no, and that's when I realized after the third episode, I was like, I'm not skipping this intro.
Oh, that was where.
Yeah.
Okay, so while you were like, I'm never skipping this intro, I was like, where's Team Rocket? I want
Yeah.
answers.
And then after seeing Team Rocket and then their two Pokemon, which they have, which is Meowth and then
Wobbuffet.
Wobbuffet, which seeing Wobbuffet was like the best thing ever.
Oh my god, I never thought about that. Was that weird for you to hear Meowth talking?
So yeah, so here's my thing is has Meowth always had a New York accent?
Yes.
Okay.
Meowth has. Okay, so there were the original voice actors, and then sometime during the Ruby and Sapphire era, I think it was during the Battle Frontier, they did I think almost all of them switch voice actors. A different company took over the dub. Um, but yeah, no, Meowth has always talked like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, Meowth has always talked and has always had that accent. Um, I like some of the new voice actors. I don't like others. Team Rocket was weird for me to hear. I have like the old Team Rocket voice actors in my head, but it grew on me. By the time that I was really watching, I wasn't even paying attention to it. Um, but yeah, so Giovanni's there and he's grilling Jesse, James, and Meowth, and then makes them basically like tell them what Team Rocket's goal is. And then he says, all right, go steal Pokemon. And I wrote, what else is new? Because that's what Team Rocket does. We cut back to Ash and Go, and they're investigating the Ivysaur breakout, the Ivysaur that are causing the traffic jam. And Officer Jenny kind of warns them that Team Rocket's around, and she shows them this cool wanted poster that has like, I don't want to say cartoon versions because obviously they're already cartoons, but they're like caricatures
Yeah.
of Jesse, James, and Meowth. I don't know. I really like that wanted poster. And then, okay, so here is an episode. Here is a part where I did not let go. They find a random Ivysaur like headbutting a brick wall, and
Yeah.
Ash is like, "Yo, let's help it." And Go is like, "Nah, just let it keep hurting itself." And Go, he explains it. He's like, "Well, if we help it now, it'll never learn to help itself." But like, this poor Ivysaur is just slamming its head against the wall over and over again. And I'm totally with Ash. I'm like, go help that poor thing, you jerk.
Yeah, but then you realize he ends
Well,
up
Ash gets close and he gets slammed to the ground. But
well, it's
I
not
don't
only
know.
that, but like he also learns how to get over the wall.
Yeah, but I didn't like it. I agreed with Ash. Help that poor child.
Yeah.
I was like, Go's being a jerk. I don't like him right now.
I think Go is understandable, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm definitely team let's help that Pokemon. So Ash and Go end up getting into a fight about this, which
yeah,
I would also fight about this.
Mm-hmm.
So, but not on Go's side. And then Go makes this like sad passing reference about like everybody abandoning him. Basically, he's like him and Ash get into a fight, and he's just like, "I guess you're just like everybody else," and like I'm assuming we're gonna get more Go backstory about that. But yeah, it was just a passing reference about like, kind of felt like he was like, nobody likes me. So, and this leads to my favorite reference of the entire thing. So, Ivysaur, they basically follow Ivysaur and they find this giant Pokemon gym that's under construction. And Go says, "Oh, they're probably going out there to evolve." And they look further at the building, and they use their smartphone Pokedexes or whatever, and they're like, "Yo, Rotom, what is this?" And it's like, "This is a gym that's under construction. Here's a picture from the beginning of construction." And you see this worker standing on this square, and there's a bunch of Machop like slamming the ground. And this is, I don't know why I found this so great. So in the original Pokemon Red and Blue, in Vermilion City where they're at, there is this dude, and there's this square of land that's like out just randomly, and there's a guy standing in the middle of it, and there's a Pokemon just marching around it. If you talk to it, it's a Machop, and he's like, the Machop is stomping the ground in for the new building. He's like, "Hey, a new building's going up here soon." And I thought it was super cool that this gym was that building that the guy was building in Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yeah.
It like blew my mind.
That is really cool.
Moment. Yeah. It just like, I hadn't thought about that part of Pokemon Red and Blue in so long, but as soon as I saw the picture, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the dude stomping, whose Machop is stomping the ground to make the building." That was my favorite reference of the whole thing. I lost my mind for a while. I don't know why it hit me so hard.
Well, it's just awesome that they would put that little detail in.
Yeah, there was a lot of little details I was really impressed by. That just the ones we've talked about so far. Then we find out that the gym was being built on a wild field that used to be inhabited by the Bulbasaur and Ivysaur. At this point, it's not just Ivysaur anymore. There are also Bulbasaur going. And that's why they're all flocking there, because it's like a field they all used to go into to evolve and everything. And I thought that was, I did like how they like touched on the kind of environmental aspects of like building, you know, they're building this on a field that these Pokemon used to live in. And I just thought it was a good parallel to our world and how we build on animals sanctuary. You know, I love animals, so
Yeah.
I liked it. And then, so they get to the building, and all the Ivysaur and Bulbasaur start vine whipping their way to the top of the building. And Ash is like, "What the heck are they doing?" And goes like, "They want to get the direct sunlight that's at the top of the building." So Ash and Go are like, "Okay, well now we gotta go." But obviously they don't have Vine Whip to get up there.
Yeah.
So they end up like having to climb the tower together. And this kind of like gets them over their argument with each other, because they help each other like get up, like, you know, helping each other up and then like boosting the other one up. So that kind of gets them over their argument. And then we get to the top, and there's a really funny scene where all the Ivysaur are collecting the sun, and Ash like waddles over and gets down on his knees.
Yeah.
And he gets Pikachu comes over and gets on his back, and he says the best pun I've ever heard in a Pokemon episode. He goes, Pikachu gets on his back where the Ivysaur have their plants, and he goes, "Ah, I guess you are my best bud after all."
Yeah.
And I was like, I love this. I was like, can we please have more of this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, that is exactly something I would say in that situation.
It was hilarious.
I love a good pun. And then right at that moment, of course, they finally appear, and a giant net goes over all the Ivysaur. And you find out after the commercial break that it was Team Rocket. We all knew it was Team Rocket. It was great to see them. They go into their intro, which is the same intro they've always had. I know it. I was literally reciting it with them while they were saying it. But I will say there was a lot of flair to it, and like a lot of dramatics that were like really, I really loved their intro there.
Yeah.
There was just a lot of pomp and circumstance to it. And there always has been, but I don't know. I don't know if it's the newer animation or what have you, but I was like, okay, that's a Team Rocket intro right there.
We also can't forget that when you see them, isn't it the big Meowth hot air balloon coming up first, and then you see him?
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's amazing. And then one thing that I had written down was like, Team Rocket with like Giovanni and everything is very menacing in the very beginning. And then I love how they are menacing, and then like you see them and you're like, No, they're not. Like,
Yeah.
I love that about Team Rocket, and I'd never really seen it come to life, and I was like, this is amazing.
So yeah, like basically in the anime, since you haven't seen a lot of it, there's like Team Rocket, and then there's like the Team Rocket, Jesse James and Meowth, and they're basically like the laughing stock of Team Rocket. They're like always the but even Team Rocket like knows that they are the worst Team Rocket members. There was like another Team Rocket duo from the original series, Butch and Cassidy. And that's another thing. The duos are all named after like outlaws. So Jesse James, Butch Cassidy. So I'm pretty sure Butch Cassidy's only in a movie. I don't know that he's actually a real outlaw, but um, they like basically make fun of Team Rocket as they go. So yeah, they're kind of the the dunces of Team Rocket, basically. Because I mean, they have been failing to catch one Pokemon for what 20 some years now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, after the motto, Go loses his mind about Meowth talking. He's like, "Oh my god, it's a talking Meowth," and Meowth is like, "Yeah, okay, get it out, get it out." He's just like, "Yeah, get used to it." Like I talk. Yeah, I thought that was really funny too. The Ivysaur are all in this net, and Pikachu jumps up and Iron Tails the net down, which I've seen this happen 5,000 times in Pokemon. But then something really cool happens that I've never seen. This giant Team Rocket machine drops out of the sky, and it's a like a coin machine where like you put the coin in, you turn it, it's a capsule comes out,
Yeah.
but instead it's filled with these awesome Team Rocket Pokeballs.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, wait, we don't have a coin. But then they turn to Meowth, who has the giant coin on his head, and they're like, well, guess that'll do. And they like jam Meowth's head in it and like
Yeah.
turn the thing. And they both get Pokeballs out. And they just throw out random Pokemon.
Yeah.
And it's a Gyarados and a Tyranitar, which is like, those are pretty good pulls out of that capsule machine you got there.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the capsule machine was really cool, and I hope it keeps coming back
Yeah, I thought it
because
was because I was like, oh, like it's a whole bunch of Pokeballs basically, but it's the Team Rocket ones, and I was like, they're gonna try and catch all of these,
that's
like
what I thought too.
Ivysaur and Bulbasaur, and I was like, and then like the Pokemon came out, and I was like, that's awesome. Like it's just a whole bunch of random Pokemon.
I thought that's what I thought the exact same thing. I was like, they're gonna catch them, or these like special Pokeballs or something. But then I really hope this is something they keep up because one problem. So Team Rocket in the episodes I watch, I do love Team Rocket, but does get kind of repetitive. They do the same things all the time. They're trying to catch Pikachu or whatever the Pokemon of the week is. And they always have a Pokemon with them. Like in the original series, they had Ekans and Coughing. But it would be really cool if they use this capsule machine and have different Pokemon every time, so that at least even if we're doing the same capture Pikachu, capture the Pokemon of the week, at least the battle that goes along with it will have new Pokemon like every time. So I really hope this wasn't a one-time capsule and then they'll go catch new Pokemon later to use. I really hope that they just random Pokemon every single time that they fight.
Okay.
Um, yeah, that's one thing. So Team Rocket's obviously always been around. They had Ekans and Arbok in the beginning, and then after Johto, they like let them go to like protect. They were Weezing and Arbok by that time. They went to protect these two like clans of Pokemon, and then it kind of became like Ash, where he gets new Pokemon every season. Team Rocket would get they'd each Jesse and James would like both get one new Pokemon, and then by the end of the season they would release it, and then they'd catch a new Pokemon starting with the new anime. So I just think this would be way more interesting than them catching two Pokemon using those same Pokemon the whole time. Although I do know that Jesse had a Mimikyu, which
Yep.
do love Mimikyu.
Yeah.
So Gyarados and Tyranitar end up teaming up on Pikachu, and they actually do. They beat Pikachu. Seems like Pikachu is going to lose, but then all the Ivysaur, like, basically go to defend Pikachu. Like, a Solar Beam comes out. And then Gyarados and Tyranitar both charge up their Hyper Beams, to attack them, but Ash basically like gets in between them, and then Pikachu goes ahead and lets off a thunder shock that beats both hyper beams. And now we end up back where we always end up, and Team Rocket is flying through the sky. They're blasting off again as they all. This is again something Team Rocket has always done. Well, it looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again. But this time they're like, okay. They literally, while they're blasting off, they're like, okay, well, we were gonna steal Pokemon, but that Pikachu's still super strong. So our goal is to capture Pikachu again. Bye.
So my question was, like, when you're talking about like the Ivysaur coming to protect Pikachu, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that like something with like that whole evolution where like Bulbasaur and all that? Is that something that's always been throughout like the anime? Because I remember in Detective Pikachu when I forget who it was, but like they were walking the Pokemon to get fixed basically in the movie. Like, have they always just been like a caring Pokemon like that?
Yes.
Okay.
I remember even in the original Ash's Bulbasaur, when he originally got it, it was protecting a group of Pokemon. That's like
Okay.
its main goal when he found it, was protecting this group of Pokemon. And yeah, most Bulbasaur that we've seen so far are, yeah, they're kind of like protectors. Whereas like Squirtles are kind of like the rebels.
Yeah.
I got like the Squirtle Squad and everything. Um, and then Charmander's just adorable. So they go blasting off, and then all the Ivysaur evolve into Venusaur, and then after that, all the Venusaur like spread their pollen out, which
Mm-hmm.
you actually find out that's why they went up there, was to spread their pollen, and then all the Bulbasaur then evolve into Ivysaur too. So everybody's evolving. It's a fun
Mm-hmm.
time. And then Go basically admits that he respects Ash, and then he's like, maybe we can be friends now. And Ash is like, what are you talking about? Like, we already were friends. Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you, dude?
There was something more to the pollen that wasn't there.
Yeah, I do. I'm not gonna lie, I'm spacing on it. I didn't write it in
Didn't
my
it?
note.
Wasn't it just like it basically spread happiness or something like that?
Yeah, it was spreading all over the town. Yeah, I got a blank spot there.
I
I'm not
think
gonna
that's what
lie.
the whole thing was just like it smells really good and like it just brings everybody's like
Yeah,
demeanor up basically.
because it's like sweet scent.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's what they found out, that that was kind of the purpose. And then so they go back to Professor Cerise's lab. That's where Ash and Go have their little, we were already friends. And then Chloe shows up and has this funny moment where she was like, it was weird, all the flowers at my school just like bloomed all at once today. Like, that was weird. Because that was another thing, when all the pollen went by, they were showing like all of the flowers on the trees just came out all over
Yeah.
town. So I thought that was funny. And then I wrote a note here when she does show up and say that. It just says, Chloe shows up, and I still wish that she was in the show more.
I do. She's a really
Because
good character.
she seems really funny. All of her humor is like really deadpan, and
Yep.
I think she's funny. But that brings us to the end.
Yeah.
What do you think? What was kind of your take on all three episodes? Which one was your favorite? Did you have anything you didn't like?
I so this is very rare for me. There was like nothing that I didn't like about this.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always nice. But I'd have to say the third episode was my favorite because like just like every other anime, it's usually the third episode is when everything starts to get rolling.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just a really good episode. And it introduced a lot of people, which I love. And the what I thought about it was like I could watch this all day, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I only watched the first 3 episodes and I stopped because I was like, I need to just keep these 3 episodes in my head right now so I can just talk about this and then like
I
get all
did
my
the
notes down. Because I was like, I wanted to just keep watching it like all night long, but
same.
I didn't. So like that's how I feel about this. Like it is perfectly done. Like I guess the way for me to put it is like of course it's aimed towards kids, but it's like also not. Like
Hmm.
it's made for like parents to be able to watch it with their kids as well. So
Hmm.
it has a lot of like stuff that like you understand as an adult but you wouldn't as a kid. So like
Yeah.
things like with Adventure Time and regular show, like I love that about them. And I
Hmm.
love that Pokemon is just the same. So
Hmm. Yeah. I agree. I think that the third episode was my favorite. I think that's kind of where the first two episodes were kind of set up, and then the third one was where it was like, okay, here's our first big thing we're gonna go work on. Um, I did the second episode. It wasn't my favorite. It was okay, but out of the three, I think it was definitely my least favorite. The part so when Lugia first showed up, I thought it was really cool. But after they were on their little adventure with Lugia for a while, I kind of was done with it. I was kind of like, like, I don't know. It kind of felt like it was meandering along in the middle. But by the end, I got back into it.
I think
Um,
I think one of the biggest things for you is like you already know about Lugia.
yeah, that's
Whereas
true.
like
I don't have the like wonder.
for me, like every little bit of that adventure explained who Lugia was.
Hmm.
So that's another aspect of like if you don't know anything about like Pokemon
Hmm.
or like about certain Pokemon, like that was like a crucial moment of that episode.
That's true. I didn't think about that honestly. That's a good perspective on it. That I kind of need to make sure I keep in mind. Um, the thing I really so I the thing I really loved was how many references there were to other things in the Pokemon universe, and I really loved the attention to detail with all the Pokemon. There was just like always something that I was like, "Oh, look at that! Look at that! Oh, 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 that was cool! Oh." I sent you like that GIF of like the Leonardo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he's like, that was basically me the whole episode. I was like, oh, or all three episodes really. Um, but yeah, I totally agree. I was very pleasantly surprised. Honestly, when I first suggested that we do this, I was like, okay, I'm really excited for this, but I didn't have a lot of expectations for like the quality of what it was going to be. I was like,
Yeah.
I haven't watched Pokemon since Ruby and Sapphire. No, I did watch some Sinnoh, some Diamond and Pearl, but I hadn't watched it so long that I was like, I don't know if this is going to be great. Um, and it was like it blew my expectations out of the water.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was the same way. I was like, I want to watch more, but I can't right now.
Yeah.
I have to be ready for the next episode. So yeah, that was the first episode of Catching Up with Ketchum. If you want to keep up with us while we do it, maybe go ahead and subscribe. But also, if you want to keep up, we will be watching 3 episodes. So the next episode will be out next Saturday, where we go over episodes 4, 5, and 6. So make sure if you want to keep up, you watch them before then. If you just want to tune in and hear kind of the episode recap while we go, that's cool too. Would appreciate it if you gave us a like, but that's all I have here for Catching Up with Ketchum. You got any last minute thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, don't be shy either. Just like leave the comments and everything about what you liked or if you're like I just like I don't know, like if there's anything more you want to see us talk
Mm-hmm.
about, if there's anything you want us to dive into or just like you said, just talk along with us and keep up and talk. It's really all I
Yeah.
have.
Also, keep in mind the structure of this. This is our first episode. The structure is subject to change. If you think the episodes, I know we got to be going for a while now. It ended up longer than I thought it was going to be. If you think 3 episodes is too much and you want to dial it back a little bit, let us know in the comments. If you think 3's perfect, or if
Yeah.
you even want more, you want us to go for 3 hours at a time. We
Yeah.
want to hear it.
Cuz that's
So,
that is my thing is like I know some people like shorter podcasts that are like 30, 45 minutes long. But like me
mhm.
personally, like I'm looking for like an hour or an
Yeah.
hour and a half. But that's just me.
Mhm.
So if you like you said, if you want us to cut it down, then we'll go over less episodes.
Yeah. So, well, anyways, I think that's where we're going to sign off. Remember, episodes 4, 5, and 6 coming next week. They are on Netflix, so pretty easy to watch them. And we will see you guys in the next one.
All right, see you guys later.
See ya.